Take me higher. Now I'm losing control. Oh.
Welcome to Living in the Question podcast. I'm Sadie.
I'm Alayna,
And we have a special guest today.
who we're super excited about.
Yes, it's Melissa. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, you guys. I'm Melissa Brace. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. We have some in-depth questions we're going to go into. And then towards the end, we're going to have her do a little reading for us. So everyone tune in.
Tap in.
Yeah. So we just kind of want to start off just like introducing you. So I want to talk a little bit about just how I know you. So I actually heard about you through Tim. Tim told me to reach out to you and that you were so tapped in because I was asking him, like, is there any mediums that you would suggest for me to work with? Because I'd never had a reading before, and I was really worried about the vetting process because I don't want to connect with someone that, doesn't really know what they're doing or whatever. Right. So I'm like, do you have anybody that you would vet? And he's like, yeah, Melissa. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then at the time, Erin actually had reached out to her already to have a reading. And so then Erin told me about the reading she had with her. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. So our first reading was when I lived with Keaton still out in the car. And I remember just being blown away at the things that you brought up. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is the real shit,
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's kind of, how I met you for the first time. And then we've had a couple readings since. And me and Erin went to Sedona one time and hung out with you for like the whole day and just spent time in Sedona and saw UFOs and all the things, It was so much fun. So
That was one of the questions I had for you with you living in Sedona, Arizona, because Sedona, Sadie has taught me, is UFO city. Like,
it's like a portal, right?
It really is. I always said it was it's almost like a way station it's like a peace, like there's a peace treaty here. So any of the beings of the multi-dimensions can kind of come stay. It's almost like there's hotels, invisible hotels for everybody all through. So all the different types of beings come here. It's just what it's known for.
Yeah.
So I learn every day about it as well.
you do? So do you have crazy experiences with that? Do you see things all the time? Like,
I do. In the last year and a half, I opened a UFO tour on top of being a psychic medium healer here. And I was just fascinated and just loved to just gaze at the stars all of the time. So all of us here have had some different experiences. And so, yes, I do. I kind of sit on my porch a lot too, when there's, no tours going on. And actually just last week, there was a really big one that we saw that was just fascinating, just big mothership type thing that I had never seen before. So every step of watching the stars here is just amazing and a new experience all the time. Yeah, we see some of them, like, they'll chase each other through the air in zigzags. So that's not a plane or a helicopter and it's fascinating.
So with you being so tapped in, when you moved to Sedona, did things increase for you? Or was it kind of just like the same? They increased.
It increased. I never felt quite as safe or as peaceful in my own self as I do here.
wow.
And I love to travel. I love to go work in different cities and go, do a week of readings with people in California, in Oklahoma, in Texas. But here, there's something. It's something about it that helps you look at yourself and come back into that peace and keep learning about yourself here too. So.
Right.
It's just almost a magical experience to be here. Sometimes when it gets a little confusing, just like we all go through our processes all the time.
Yeah.
I'll go take a ride, drive in the car, just be by myself and say little prayers at different places. And pull in that energy that's pure light, divinity, and just reaffirm that peace. It's so peaceful and kind of groovy.
I can feel it when you talk about it. I'm
Right.
like, oh yeah, that peacefulness, you know,
The
there's something about it.
reconnection.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. So that kind of leads us into then, like, we just wanted to ask you, first off, what is the title that you go by? Like, do you go by a medium? Do you like to say you're a medium? Like, what is your title?
That's what I've been known for over 30 years.
Okay.
I didn't mean to. I always asked God years and years ago, like, what is this? What am I supposed to do? Intuitive, sensitive. So remember, over 30 years, there weren't as many words. So I just always use psychic medium and energy healer.
Wow.
And
Okay.
then just add the other pieces. Like there's, many years I've done past life regressions with hypnosis, but it all goes into this, the big, basic definition. And I just like psychic medium healer lady.
Okay. Healer lady. All right.
Because I call myself a cosmic tour guide too, because I think it's hilarious.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yep. That's so true. Oh my gosh. Okay. So,
You said you've been a medium for 30 years. You've been practicing.
Yes. I was naturally born this way, and each step of my life, I just keep learning more, and I can look over my shoulder and go, oh, and learn a little bit more and awaken a little bit more and awaken a little bit more. And, but back in the day, it was accidentally people started saying, hey, you help my cousin, you help my brother. Would you help me? And I would go, what?
You're like, what do you mean?
Like, what? Who are you talking about? What? and remember, I grew up in the middle of the country in a kind of small city in Oklahoma. So it was just a little bit before all of the words and all of us were on the spiritual path as much. It was harder for me to say, oh, sure, psychic, sure, I'll do that. And then when I just had a calling. And so I just let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so over 30 years, I've been professional psychic medium. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. So how did you find that out about yourself? What did that look like? Were you a kid who was having visions, or like, what did it look like?
I didn't know other people were having this, but as a child, I would have visitations and just angelic visitations, and sometimes see people in the hallway.
Right.
And my parents were great. They're very wonderful people, and they just didn't know what to do, and said, do you need a nightlight? You can come talk to us. And of course, I grew up with God and church and all the things. Very good, very intelligent people with integrity, and they just helped me kind of figure out how not to hate myself and not be mentally unstable.
Yeah.
And not to be myself. And so I will forever be grateful for that, because I didn't have any teachers. So It was just books and and I would just ask God, what is this? Why?
Yeah. So did you just think like, oh, isn't everybody having visions? Like, isn't this, does everybody see dead people? Like, what the hell? That's crazy.
And energy, like I could see energy structure and thing in like colors. I didn't understand that other people weren't doing that. So I just would sort of be quiet. And my mom, we had a bookstore growing up. So my mom would sometimes give me a Dalai Lama book that helped, how uplifting, and an affirmation book, and helped me along the way as well. And always said, just follow your heart with God. And, it would have the visitations. And now I see it was a lot of celestial beings. So it could be star beings as well, since I was born. I didn't know what to call it then.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Well, because you're a kid and you talk about it, and other kids are probably like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What is that?
Get this, you guys, this is so funny. I always think it's so funny, to me at least. My first visitation, like I had this angel that would come see me, and every once in a while she will too. So sometimes I can perceive them, and sometimes we can't. We just feel them. I think everybody has that, right?
Right.
And she would come to my room when I was little, like 3, 4, maybe younger, I don't know. And she would float above the floor and kind of be sparkly and colorful. And I thought she was Glinda the Good Witch.
Oh,
I love that. You're like, hi.
you're back.
What do we know about our concept of angels? And so that Wizard of Oz, wonderful, beautiful. She was similar to that. And so I thought it was, yeah, so I always think that's really funny because as a child learns, what else do you call it?
Right. In your little baby girl mind, you're like,
Mhm.
oh, it's the good way. Trying to make sense of your surroundings.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. So, so like towards the beginning of your mediumship and stuff, like, did you tell people that you were a medium? And like, I'm sure you do now because this is what you do, right? But like, do you tell people when you first meet them? Like when they ask what you do you tell them? Like what kind of reactions do you get?
I still actually these days have every once in a while someone say, don't tell them what you do.
Right.
And so it's literally been my title. I also was a massage therapist for 25 years. So I did both of those things together. And do not do massage anymore, but I loved it. And I said, why do I need to be scared of everyone? And I always said consulting, psychic medium consulting, I have, because I could look at myself and I don't have a big family to protect. I don't have particularly anything to protect in that way, except myself. I just would say, yeah, I'm a psychic medium person. And every once in a while, still in these days of confusion of all of humanity, someone is angry or calls me names or makes up things about me or things like that. And again, there's a little bit of a flavor of religion in the middle of the country, again, that I grew up with and love God and all of those things. So it's a little touchy or in some groupings sometimes still, but mostly at least they might have said it behind my back more than to my face.
We understand the whole religious thing because growing up in Utah, everybody here is Mormon. So if you don't practice or if you're not, you're kind of like, you're out there.
Well, even now with us doing this podcast and kind of diving into all the spirituality stuff without the context of the church, you know, like people still have their certain ways of believing that they are afraid to let go of, you know what I mean? So things like that come up or, you know, they retaliate in different ways depending on what their beliefs are and all that stuff. But I'm sure you get that all the time. I'm sorry. That's probably so frustrating.
It can be frustrating. It can be hard to say, like, have dating or have friendship groups that are like learn how to connect and build great friendships when I'm kind of scared, or to let them in and make sure they're not really mad at me. Or like retaliation is a really great word where we, you know, I think people were sort of normally taught to push back things that we don't understand. And I have to say, I'm going through it too. I've always said throughout my lifetime, I pray all of the time. And it might not sound like just like you at, you know, or you or them, but it's the same. And I've always said I've chased God all throughout my lifetime, even if other people kind of say, what? You pray? You meditate? You pray? Like, of course I do.
Yeah. Wow.
God. True God. And so, that's been kind of an interesting way to learn as well.
Yeah. It's hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that I guess I'm kind of closed-minded in this, but I hear psychic medium and I'm like, oh my God, wow, amazing. That's beautiful. Like it's hard for me to believe that anyone could have a negative thought towards that.
Because we view it as so beautiful.
Because
and like that connectedness is
it's so amazing. Like, wow, like I did not expect you to just say that. I figured you'd be like, yes, I'm a medium and it's amazing. And it's always been butterflies and rainbows. But yeah, like
there really is that aspect. Thank you for saying that, because there is that aspect. And it's not that I'm better than anyone,
Yeah.
or it's just that I am just really good at this one thing that is most people are not great at.
Right.
And so it has also thank you for saying that, because it has also been a beautiful blessing, and getting to connect and live it
Yeah.
every day, and
Right.
that connection with God, and learning how to be more clear with
Right.
the divine has just been the best thing that's ever happened. All the awesome people I've met in the many years, I'm so grateful.
Yeah. I love that
Right.
so much.
So are you always being flooded with messages, or do you have to tap into?
And like, can you turn it off? Like when you're out in the world, are you getting like random messages for people? And do you tell them, like we just kind of want to know about that. Like, what does that look like for you?
Those are great questions. I learned right around 35 years old that I could turn it off. I had no idea. So it was sort of inundated me sometimes, and I would just not say anything. And I always said it's like hearing and speaking Japanese, English, Spanish, Italian, and let's just add 6 more on all at once, because of being in those multi dimensions and perceiving a little bit. Now our loved ones that are passed over in those higher frequencies, they are not rude usually. Like hi, talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
I would do that, but because I'm usually by myself, or I don't have cameras with me, and in different cities and different places, and then even in Sedona, I don't stop people and say, hey, grandma says, not very often. I've done it a few times. I usually would ask them permission first. Right. So I do not interfere, or like almost like infest or push my will over onto anyone. But when I was about 35, I started yelling one night because I could hear energy movement in my bedroom. And I always had a nightlight anywhere I went through for 35 years. Mm-hmm. And I went, leave me alone. You're getting on my nerves. Could you just meet me on Saturday at noon? Just quit it. I don't want to talk to you right now. Mm-hmm. And they did. And then I realized, I can come into more balance by choosing and being organized and, grounded and in balance. And so I can turn it off and on now, and learn how to do it from 30, but get like 35.
Yeah.
Right. So you learned how to set your boundary.
Yeah. And I'm still learning. I mean, there are times where I still keep going and keep learning how to do it better.
Right. Are there ever times where spirit doesn't give a shit about your boundary, and you're like, okay, I need to relay this message? This spirit is prominent. Like,
yes, it's more in the energy healing. So when we perceive energy all around us, if we've all been someplace that's like a little bit yucky, and we don't want to stay. Mm-hmm. Or there are a lot of people that are yucky and we don't want to hang out. Right. And so it's in those times and spaces that kind of happens, where you kind of clear and stay in your own, what I would call light,
right,
or divinity. So, yes.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's a process to learn how to do that. Like, holy shit.
That's intense. Well, sometimes there's, I love to travel, so I will go off the beaten path, or like recently I went to Tombstone, which is supposed, Tombstone, Arizona, mm-hmm. Haunted Old West, and I could perceive. I didn't fully see hundreds of ghosts, mm-hmm. but I can perceive those energies, and I was like, hey, and learn how to make sure they don't come in and follow you home, but to experience those different multi-density layers, multi-dimensions.
Right. So when you say experience, what is it? Is it just a knowing? Is it a feeling in your body? Is it chills? Is it visions?
Do you have all of them? Like,
what does it look like?
Sometimes when I know it's true, when I'm on, when you get frustrated and you're like, I can't figure this out, I'm so confused.
Yeah.
And then the answer comes. It is like chills and warmth. So I call it Jesus hugs.
Oh, cute.
And then every once in a while, I'll see a little spark out of the corner of my eye. And then there's just an immense knowing, like, yes, step forward. And just like each person, each energy around us is different. So we kind of, what I say, run the different energies and step into the different frequencies and experience them a little bit, not overtake them, not move in, but touch,
Yeah.
feel it. And that's where I think, out of all the gifts that people have, seeing, hearing, feeling, I think that one's the best one for us to stay on path, like to find the truth. You
Yeah.
feel it. So you can feel a higher frequency or a lower one.
Yeah.
So that's how I do it.
I feel like I'm a little bit that way too. Like, you know how there's all the clairs, right? That's me. Like, I have a knowing, like, and a feeling. Like, I'll feel it, and I know when it's like either something I need to listen to, or like my own intuition. I can feel that, you know?
Right.
So that's how I connect too. That's so beautiful.
I think you do too, really beautifully. Like, you just sometimes just get it, don't you? Is that true for you?
Yep.
Yeah.
It just clicks, and it's like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's clairsentience if you're knowing. Clairsentience.
Okay. Yep. So I think that's mine. What do you think yours is? We kind of
The
talked
knowing.
about this, the knowing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And I get visions too.
You'll get
Yeah.
little things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I've had,
I think that's amazing. And if we can open up and start understanding, that's the other piece of all of our spiritual journeys, is how do we understand and decipher what's real, what's true. And I always say, it's usually very basic,
Mm-hmm.
and not basic like boring, but basic like precise.
Yeah.
And it's, if you don't understand it at times, what helps me, and I think would help other people, would be if they could talk to you, if you could understand what we're supposed to know, what
Right.
God wants you to know, what the universe wants you to know, and what would they say? And then inside you can feel it,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
that knowing. So is that how it is for you sometimes?
Yeah. It's like it's a basis of self-trust,
Yeah.
you know, like just knowing that you know and not questioning it,
Yeah.
you know, because so often we want to question everything.
Yeah. And I think the doubt comes up, but it's like, do you attach to the doubt, or do you like just feel the feeling, you know?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that feeling is so real. That's beautiful. So I feel like, so I've been going to the school that Tim has went to, and it's been so good. But I feel like throughout my journey, like at first I would never get visions. Like it was all just feelings. But lately, like I've been starting when I meditate to get like visualizations and things like that. But I feel like it always kind of like fluctuates. Like I'll get them sometimes, and then sometimes it kind of fades away. And like, do you feel like, me and Alayna have talked about this a lot as well, like throughout our journey of just healing, we go through these phases of like so much resistance, and then we'll come to a phase after the resistance of like so much light and just like feeling so good, and like we're always like fluctuating through those cycles, and there's certain times when we start to feel not so connected, and we
Right.
start to get not so connected, and then there's times where we're so tapped in. Do you feel like it's like that for you?
Oh, yes.
You get like that too?
Truly, like, so when people say, oh my goodness, you've had this job for so long, you must be perfect at
Yeah.
this. Oh no. Sometimes it's, I call it waves of understanding. And I love it, Alayna, that you said trust self, like self-trust.
Mhm.
That's beautiful. I'm gonna have to use those words.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we all are, it's almost like we're on a boat, and it's shifting, and we're kind of like, hey, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to hold on and not fall off the edge, and then come back, and then it's calmer waters. And I think that happens to me often.
Yeah. That's just the human experience, right? Like,
The ebbs and the flows.
yeah,
Oh,
that's so
good.
real. Oh my God. We're both like, oh yeah.
In it. See, we're feeling it.
Uh-huh. I love that.
So I wanted to ask you, are you into, or have you ever done psychedelics?
Get this, I was talking about this the other day. Because there are ayahuascas and frog medicine, and we could go back to the peyotes of Native American things and or perspectives. I did twice when I was young. So like 19, 18.
Yeah.
And then after that, I thought I kind of grew out of my sort of doing a few things that we wouldn't want to talk about in public things.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I am so amped up and open on accident, like it just is my state of being.
Yeah.
Have not, but many people come in and have said recently that I would never have thought would even do anything, like, hey, all weekend we were on a mushroom trip, and I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
To touch their, like come into their awareness, awakening more. And so it's been a long time, and I always say, in my personal grounding every day after working in different energies and all these things, I just haven't chosen to do that in the last decades.
Right.
Yeah. Well, when you're already so tapped in, it's like, what else do you need to tap into?
Yeah.
You know?
You don't need it. You don't need it. Not that anybody needs it.
But it can really help like expand your consciousness in certain ways when you are so closed, you
Right.
know? It helps that. It's like that ego death that we
Oh,
talked
yeah.
about, you know?
Ooh,
I think it can be a key. So I'm not opposed to it. I'm not negating it at all. And just being in Sedona with all the different, people, many people from all over the world come to at least expand in their spiritual journey, but psychic mediums, healers,
Right.
magicians, all kinds of people come here. And so being around that, we know about like who has the ayahuasca or which direction is what. And so,
Oh, I'm coming to you then.
yeah, I'm like, I'll be there all weekend for the retreat. Let's go.
Can you imagine going
Oh.
to Sedona and doing ayahuasca?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh my God.
You guys are going to plan a trip. We'll let you know. If it works out, we're staying with Melissa. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And I think many people have advanced and grown and expanded so greatly with some of the ayahuascas and the mushrooms and the things
Yeah.
over the years. It's quite exciting to me. I think it could be a key.
It's like a good tool, right?
Yeah.
But it's not for everyone too, you know? It's like everyone has their own journey.
Yeah, and if it's, just like anything,
Yeah.
we can put a little dark smudge in there, or we can use the tool for the highest good. And I just think it's a great tool.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So, another question we had was, can you connect to your own loved ones, and like, do you just have access to them all the time, or is it like you have to set the specific intention to connect with them? Like, what is that like for you personally? Because I'm sure you do it for everyone else, but what about you, you know?
I can do it for everyone else anytime, anywhere. It's just the natural state of being. But for myself, oh my goodness, I have struggled.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can.
Yeah.
And so I have particular guides that were like, that have been with me all of my lifetime. Not that they don't have a heavenly spiritual life,
Right.
but we are, walk this path together,
Yep.
me and my body, them in spirit. So there are a couple, but sometimes it's hard for me to access them. And my mother is passed, and I have just kind of yelled at the universe a few times because I can't feel her when I want to sometimes. And I don't get to have large conversations with my loved ones that are crossed over, because I asked once and I'm like, what? Do they not love me? What is this? I would get so frustrated. I have many times.
Yeah.
And they said, well, think about this. If you were talking to dead people, if I've got one foot in spirit and one foot on the earth anyway, and you were talking in spirit all day, every day, you would go insane. And I said, well, I think I have a couple of times in this life, one or two. And they said, see, imagine that. Like, do you want to stay there? And if they told us all the time, like, yes, you will marry George, or yes, you should be a surfer for your job, or no, turn left at the light, not right, all the time, then you would never learn anything.
Wow.
That is true.
That is so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It can't be an all access everyday thing, or else you would just constantly be with them all the
You'd
time.
be spinning off.
There'd be no point in even like walking this life if you're being told and following what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's also in reading. So like for instance, yesterday I worked with 4 different people, so I would regroup and amazing people, and I love that. So over the years, many of the psychics, the mediums, the connectors, and the multidimensional people, they have a hard time. Like it's hard to do 4 or 5 readings in a day. That's overwhelming.
Right.
So they have also said for me many years, like they're not going to allow me to remember everything about your personal depths of everything that about you, because that would be imbalanced. It'd almost like be misuse of power.
Right.
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 And no, I have not ever won the lottery because I got all the lottery numbers. I'm waiting for it though.
You're like, one day, keep dreaming.
I'll keep asking. Yeah, for all of us.
I love that.
So on that, do you ever get angry messages or messages that you think could be portrayed as something hurtful to someone here that you choose not to relay?
I've always said that I will say everything I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And so there's, if I may, there's 2 different types of mediums in my perspective.
Mhm.
And there are mediums that work with the paranormal. So it's
Okay.
not what we're talking about today. And there are mediums that work with the higher frequencies. So that would be all the heavenly realms, those Christed realms is what I call them.
Yeah.
And in those realms, there are people that have hurt us and have hurt each other, and but they are never going to come in from spirit and say,
Yeah.
but I hated it when you did that. You stole my lunch in
Yeah.
4th grade. But they might come in and say, remember, you're the one that stole my lunch every day in 4th grade. That hurt my soul. What can we do to balance?
Mm.
So it's different. So they're not hatred, angry, full. And sometimes some of the loved ones in spirit or friends, family, people we don't expect will come in and apologize because they have harmed us, lied, cheat, steal, betrayed us.
Right.
And they say, we know it caused harm to you for the rest of your life and damage to your experience. And so they'll come in and say that, but I do not they'll make fun of us too.
Yeah.
But I don't get like, I hate you and I'm going to hurt you. That could be a lower energy or entity attachment that is in this realm sometimes, but no, I don't.
So it's more just like in the name of healing. Like they come in with things to help the person heal or to help with their, own process. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Unless we are working with that lower, what I would call the paranormal layers.
Yeah.
Lower layers. And sometimes there are fragmented pieces and pieces like that are kind of crazy or icky. And that's where we get some TV and things like that. So that's different. But yeah.
So have you ever been afraid? Like, did you have to get to a point where you said, you know what, I'm only willing to take messages from these
The
spirits.
divine. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the divine. Did you have to get to that point?
No.
You've kind of always been tapped in there.
There's always been an archangel in front. I didn't know this always. I didn't understand how it worked when I'm little. It takes me a minute to catch on to things sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an archangel in front of me that's a filter. And so, again, different circumstances, but not one single time in this career, this life, this path, have I been scared doing medium readings. It's always been, starts with a prayer like only the highest good. And there's an angel in front of me that literally filters anything that could make me go wonky and be off balance. So, however, I have been scared in learning some of the energy of the world, just like we all have. Like, do you want to go live in this scary place on the paranormal show and have no lights and go stay there by yourself? No. So I have been scared of some yuckier lower energies, but nope, not once in the mediumship. And excuse me, we just have to stay balanced. And in integrity is what I always say.
Right.
The clear channel.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, way beautiful.
Okay, one more question. Well, I guess 2 more questions, but and then we'll kind of go into the readings. We just wanted to know, like, do you get like visions about the future or about like worldly dynamics? Like, do you ever get visions like that? And it's like, oh my God, like just so intense.
I don't as much as other people.
Okay.
So that might not be my strong suit. I do sometimes. So there's a family member of mine that used to say she would write things down in a notebook that would be like things to come, and she would go, what's going to come up? Let's give us a prediction page.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
If you ask me, I will have a vision and say like specific names and things or places and things like that. So, but I don't just naturally have that come in very often. On occasion I do, but not as much as some other people. Do you guys have that sometimes? I think it's a really awesome gift that is connecting with the energies around us. It is the answers are in the energies around us.
Yeah.
I definitely think that I have a little bit of psychic tendencies for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I do too, but I don't think it's in that way. Like I don't really see future things. I definitely have this feeling though that like with all the chaos going on in the world, like that everything is going to have to crumble before it can rebuild. And I just have this knowing, that inner knowing that like we're going to be okay. Like it's going to be a shit show for a while, but like the world is moving in a beautiful direction and things have to fall before they can rebuild. And I have that kind of like just trust that like I know that's going to happen. So I guess I can say that, but I don't really ever get specific things about the future. Do you?
Like visions out of nowhere? Do you, Alayna? Because that's interesting. We can, like with each person, I can do the future possibilities really well, but I don't just get slammed like, oh yes, I know. In 2032, we will have,
not that detailed. I've had things like, for instance, when I was a kid, I always wanted to have 3 boys. I always thought I was going to be a mom of 3 boys. Mm-hmm. And when I married my husband, who's soon to be my ex-husband, he had 2 sons, and I would always take my nephew over there. Like we had all 3 of them all the time. And so it was like, oh, here's my 3 boys. Yeah, It doesn't look exactly how I thought, but I knew I was going to have 3 boys.
Yeah.
That type of thing. Or like when 2019, when I was pregnant with my second baby, I told Bryce at the time, I said, something really bad is going to happen right around the time Demi's born, right before. I just have this feeling. I thought that his dad was going to get sick or something like that, but I didn't know what it was. Now, fast forward, it was COVID. The whole world shut down. Like I knew that. Yeah. Like,
oh, you're giving me the chills.
It's crazy. So I have visions like that.
Yeah.
Like just knowing, just little things like that. But it's not like, oh, I know. Yeah. 2032, the world's going to do this. Like, it's not like that. It's just.
But Alayna, what you just described is really big and accurate. And I always say that's part of the learning of our spiritual energetic path, like these awakenings for everyone in the whole world, as we keep moving past old belief systems, is it's not exactly what we think it's going to be. So perhaps our box is a little bit, it's going to expand whether we like it or not. And maybe when we catch it, like your 3 boys, those are the babies you love the most.
Yep.
And it was just right. It just wasn't what we thought. Like I will have 3 children out of my body and they will all look like this and have names that start with K.
Yep.
And it's amazing how we actually are having our visions and understanding. It just, what's the full truth? Our box expands.
Right. It's not so bam, closed in. It's open.
Maybe we'll all get better at it. All of us.
Yeah. Oh, we already are.
We're doing it.
Every day we're doing it.
I love that. Okay. So last question before we get into it, but I'm really interested in this question because since I've been going to school, I feel like my psychicness has been increasing so much in the way that I can literally tap into people that I'm not around and be like, oh, how are they doing? And I'll like start to think about them and think about how they're doing. And I get like a sense of what's going on for them. And then they'll like text me. Like that happens all the time. Or like just recently, I've been reading my son's mind. Like I'll think something and then he says it and I'm like, what is happening? Like it's happening so
too.
often that I'm just like, what is going on? But I feel like I've always had like weird experiences with spirits and ghosts and all that kind of stuff. Like all growing up and all the houses I was in, I could always feel energies. I've like communicated with them through a radio and things like that are just like, I always thought that it was just, I don't know. I didn't really know what it was, but I think that I've always known that I kind of have that gift, but I'm trying to learn to tap into it. And I think we talked about this actually on my last reading, but I'm trying to learn how to tap into it. And like, I'm so interested lately. This is our last question of like, how do you tap in? Like, what is your process before you do a reading or when you are like setting the intention to, you know, connect with your guides or whatever's there? Like, what is your process?
I think for everyone, it will be a little bit different. And we are also awakening, and I call it amping up. Like we're amping up in this spiritual journey for sure. For me, I've always said a prayer because that is right for my heart.
Right.
And it's like to connect in balance. So I say it's yin yang balance, the masculine feminine balance, so that I cannot be wonky. It's not my will, but it's pure light. And we are living this light universe and we're learning what that means more and more. Yeah. So if we can only listen to the light and not listen to those, the chaos around us. Yeah. That's kind of how I start things and literally say prayer, touch the earth with my bare feet. And it's literally old school kind of stuff. And I look at the sky and one of my favorite parts of this that people just they cannot figure me out in this one. And I'm like, it's not interesting. Like I'm not doing anything interesting. It's not mysterious, but the signs and patterns in everything around us will talk to us if we ask. Mm-hmm. And so if you like bird signs, if you're just, you know, miraculously walking down the street and there's a rainbow and you can ask that energy, how do I tap into you? What can I learn from you? Or this experience? And your higher self, your guides and guardian angel teams will answer you through the signs and patterns.
Hell yeah.
And so that's how I kind of tap in every day, all day.
That's been really relevant for us with numbers. And we're not going to go into what numbers because we want to do the reading, but that's been really relevant for us in numbers, especially since we started the podcast. Like they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. Yeah. And it's weird. Like you can't
deny it when it's at the right time and the right moment and the right thought. And it's just like, what the fuck is going on? You know?
Yeah.
Like, I agree. Like it still waylays me. So over all the years, like I didn't know what the numbers meant exactly for me and things like that. And then they'll change. And then I'm like, oh my God, I can't deny this. Oh my goodness. And to me, in at least one sense or perspective, this is part of the coding. Like remember in the Matrix movie, the numbers streaming down and so it literally is when it's time, when we are clear and home and in balance, wholeness, our light, our divinity, the new codes that are the uplifting parts come in actual number, energetic, scientific structure.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. It's just a part of it.
Right.
But I say, everybody keep your eyes open for the numbers, for the patterns that touch you. Mm-hmm. And you'll start understanding and each step you'll start knowing more. And that's a way to always tap in. Mm-hmm. Always.
Oh yeah,
I love sure. That. Okay, so speaking of tapping in, are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
We're so ready. I don't know who you want to start with. We'll let you choose, but just kind of go as long as you feel. I mean, you know, we don't have a specific time limit on it, but whatever comes up for you. And then, yeah.
Just since we started with numbers, there's twos. I'm seeing twos. So Alayna, I'm going to start with you. There's a balance that's happening, even though it's hard and it hurts. So that's the first part of the message. Like you're just like, what? How is this? And you belong. So I am feeling energies from your guides and guardian angels And you mentioned a little while ago about divorce and kids. I just kept feeling kids stuff for you earlier. You love the kids. You came here to be a teacher,
Mhm.
whatever way that means. Might not have to go to a certain school, but you're a teacher and a healer. And I think there's something that's part of the message that something's going to happen where you start laughing and remember what it feels like to be without worry and stress and the suffering, because you've been, going through a lot.
Yeah.
And you deserve to know that you are safe and you belong. And so do you, like the kids. You have one kid that's very strange, that's in communication, that doesn't express very easily. Does that make sense?
With Cash.
With Cash, you think
I don't know. Do you?
that she's not good at expressing herself?
It might be that she can talk all the time, but she doesn't express the depth. Like, it takes a minute because she can observe while she's talking.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm always telling her, like, just tell me. You don't need to act like that. Just tell me. Use your words.
she might not know.
Yeah.
She came here for a really cool purpose, which might be harder than maybe those people down the street or those people down the street in some ways, because I think she's going to break through. It's almost like a barrier, like, of humanity that we've never known before. Like, she will express her creativity, and she's very smart. But does she care if she's very smart? Sometimes no.
Hell no, she doesn't give a shit.
She's not gonna. She didn't care about what we care about or what they want her to care about at school.
Oh
No,
my-
none. But when she plugs it into the right place, it's genius. It's amazing. And she might not tell all of it in big, long, descriptive ways. But she's going to figure it out. So there's a blessing for her coming in. And there's a grandmother for you. Do you have one grandmother passed and one living?
Yeah.
She's here and she's funny.
Mm.
And she loves you so much. She loves to be with the kids. And I mean, like, you have extra kids, not then perhaps were not birthed out of your body, and that will always remain. You came here to be a teacher, and very advanced ways.
Wow.
And sometimes it's not popular to be in the very advanced ways. So just remind that one child that we were talking about as well. Like, sometimes it's not popular. You're getting on my nerves, but you're on, and everyone's going to be okay. And you're, for some reason, I'm supposed to tell you, you're going to have more money than you think, and you are on the right track, because I think you're shifting into different career directions, and you are supposed to be a healer, teacher, guidance person.
Right.
So please know that that is real and true. And Grandma says, I see it too. This is funny. What she's saying is, I see it too. So sometimes they show me maps. I cannot read all the maps all the time, but then they stretch it out like it's really big. Like, instead of a little map, it's the one we put all over the big wall. And they say we see things differently than when we were in our physical bodies, and we can see things differently for you. And it's amazing. And they're saying they're so sorry, honey, because heartbreaks and coming up against walls where you're just like, I don't know what to do. Why is it like this?
Right.
They're saying there will be some more relief, and that you have many with you. Do you also have a friend from school that's passed?
Yes.
Is it a male?
Yes.
He's here because he leaned it. Here's how this happens for me. Remember, I'm visual, so I see. I'm visionary. I'm all acting like that's awesome. He moves in and goes, don't forget to tell her that I'm here. And he says, I'm all right. Like, I'm all right. And he says, so are you. And that they're so proud of you. Some golden energy, been working with golden energy and the energies, your path in understanding science, spirit, all the pieces that you love, like questioning, brilliant. You get to teach other people with your podcast, and much further. Were you thinking about writing some small books? Like, and I'm not like not big ones, but small ones. We're like, if I picked it up and I went, oh my God, there's 48,000 pages. Is it? Ugh. But you pull it down so that we can all understand it and have fun about the learning. So it's not like an old gross school book where you have to go, oh, those are so tedious, right?
Right.
And also some of them can help children
Oh, wow.
understand and love themselves where the world told us we are not supposed to. Too
Right.
much, not enough, not like so-and-so.
Love that. Yeah. I love that.
So please think about writing, blogging, writing the books, continuing to speak in many ways. And they're going to work with your throat chakra and something about a crown chakra. And it's just the word, all of us are clogged up in many ways and really releasing and cleansing and clearing through lots of stuff. And they're saying you're doing a great job. And if it feels like you're not and you want to cry, so does everyone else, first. And second, you're much further than you think.
Wow.
And that's why this grandma in particular, out of the people, came to speak first because, like you said, sometimes we all were in our lifetime in this particular box and path. And sometimes we don't fit there.
Right.
And expand. And she says, I see the bigger picture. I see it for you. I'm so proud of you, and tell the others. So you have siblings and family that miss her a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Oh, yeah.
She sends you flowers. You might smell her sometimes like flowers, and grandma will be in that visitation sometimes.
Ooh, I love that. I love that so much.
One more thing. They're saying blessings to all the kids, and yes, you're on the right track. You actually, I don't know if you want to say, stop me if there's anything you don't want said in
I'll just say it all.
camera. But they're saying you do have a partner, you do have a home. So if it feels like it's all breaking, and we've had divorces and we've had separations from people that we've loved and thought we would be together with forever, there's a completion in those phases and a healing for both of you, both sides, both directions. And you have a home and you know it inside, and we might not be able to see what it looks like, but almost we do. Please know that you're channeling your visions and all those things are precise, pristine, clean, and true. And so you'll start feeling that home. Doesn't have to actually be in physical home movement, but you'll feel that home. But I think it is someday. But where you belong, and you do have a person that you can be safe with and be your true self with. And no matter what changes or growth we go through, you'll be able to walk hand in hand. So yes, the answer is yes.
Wow,
beautiful.
that is amazing.
Any of this make sense?
Yeah,
A lot of sense.
yeah, a lot of sense.
Something about the moon for you, both of you girls.
The moon?
Uh-huh. It's like that moon energy. Sometimes during, of course, we've always had farmers' almanacs all the years, way before we were born. It just feels like those moon cycles are, you both in really powerful ways are integrating some of the energies, the good and the bad, so that we can lift them up. And they're saying the different numbers it's like you're both really good at that. The sequences, the numbers, the triple numbers, the quadruple numbers. And Sadie, are you seeing some fours lately extra?
Yeah.
For you, part of it, because I think it could differ a little bit for all of us, but be almost like part of the pulling us up. It's almost like part of the rope that's pulling us up, or the stair step that's pulling us up in frequency and consciousness, in our consciousness. They're saying that balance brings you are so creative. You didn't mean to be like this, but you're extremely advanced as well. And you have a really cool purpose, and you know it. And healing, and again, both of you teaching slightly different ways. This is so poignant right now. And those fours bring balance and stability where, like you said, I didn't know that you had to live in the car and almost escape from some of those past things that we have been through that were very hard, that no one can really quite know when they look at our faces.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that there's more stability. Does it have to look like anyone else's? No, but there's more stability. You are having these inspirations like, should I start a retreat center? Should I own Airbnbs? Should I, move to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west? Not moving physically all the time, but they're saying follow your north node. You understand this? And the moon phases will help both of you. This is super cool. I don't usually get messages like that, but the universe is going to talk to you in a way that human beings could not connect with for tens of thousands of years first. Like, you're a leader in this super cool energy, what I would call bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes in with the moon phases and the numbers, and you have a lot of balance and security. Thank you. You've got loved ones, several loved ones, saying thank you for being willing to work really hard and overtime, because people don't understand. Maybe it looks easy for you, like you're just having fun, and it's not, that you didn't wake up early and do extra. They're also giving you a yes answer, so I don't know what that means, but there are several aspects of your life that it's a yes. And you came here to be teacher, spiritual guru too. Both of you do, because this is very much your direction and focus, right?
Yeah.
Energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You came here, you're very advanced star being as well, celestial being. I don't know what that means to you,
Yeah.
but that wisdom of the cosmos is what we're waking up to, and we all are waking up to it in different ways. And they're saying it's amped up for you, Sadie. Amped up. Do you have a question, or do you want to particularly talk to any of the people? Just because I've met you and got to like sit with you and meet with you and just like connect with you. I think we're soul family, soul tribe.
Yep, we are.
There are a few people here, but I don't know if you particularly want to hear from one.
Yeah, there's a couple. Is there any that are like up front?
Is one the young male?
Ooh.
Okay. He's saying, you're not bad. Remember when we all have made mistakes, or I have a soda in front of me, so I always hide that, like, don't let anyone know that I drink soda a lot. Because it's bad, like it's yucky, like, one of my addictions.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying you're not bad, whatever it is that we were told that was ugly about us. And that's healing to the depth core of who you are. You came here to help heal some suffering. So he's saying this. Can I ask how he passed?
Yeah, actually was just like a couple weeks ago.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. He died from overdose.
That's what it looks like. And that's another thing. I do not like saying that, like, hey, did you print OT, when it's very painful.
Yeah.
And we can't always talk about that. And he says, he just wants you to know you're not bad. And he says, it was what you think. So there was something extra in the mix.
Yeah.
And did someone think someone did this to him on purpose?
No, I mean, I don't think so. Not that I know of. I actually didn't even find out he died until like 7 days after he had already died. And his funeral was the day that I found out. And I missed his funeral, and I was so hurt because he was like one of my really, really, really close friends growing up. And like I knew his family, and like I wasn't able to go to the funeral, and like it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And he actually had reached out to me at the beginning of June, and we were like going to make plans to hang out and everything. And I hadn't talked to him in a while, and I was so excited to be hearing from him. And then all of that happened.
I'm so sorry. And we send big, great love to family, friends, loved ones, as he's amazing.
Yeah.
And he would get confused sometimes, like, and pull back and away from people.
Mm-hmm.
He says, don't we all? What he was saying was, don't hold that guilt. You're not bad. don't hold that guilt. That's so easy for us to say. Don't hold on that. Don't feel guilty about that.
Yeah.
Well, if it was that easy,
Yeah.
he's saying that he will help with that. And he says, I want you to know that our family connection is always precious and important. And I will let you know that I'm here. And he says, I'm alive and well and safe in it's like he's saying the hands of God. And will you pray for my family and friends, others, because this is so devastating. And he says, I'm here to help unwind guilt and shame that we all have. And he says, I get to choose that in my heavenly spiritual life, afterlife journey. And he says, I will let you know in many ways. He's got a really deep compassion about him.
Yeah, he does.
He's deep and interesting. And he says, I just wasn't supposed to be here for a 95-year life. And it will never make sense, but I send love and I wanted you to know that I'm here. And he'll send you. He says, don't ever feel bad that we didn't get together. There wasn't enough time. He says, I know you will always love my soul. Always.
You guys had that too.
We totally did. Me and him were so close, and like for so long, like I like dreaded this day, because like I just had this feeling for so long that this was gonna happen one day, and he would retreat because he had so much shame. He'd pull himself away from us, and we always knew that's when he was back into it, because he'd pull himself away because of the shame.
That's what he's saying. He's saying all of us have a little bit of that. And he says, normally when people pull back, because he can see it, and he knew, not always consciously we know, but he knew.
Yeah.
And he says, I didn't mean to hurt anyone or run away. It was just too much.
Yeah.
This world was heavy. And he said, I literally, even though we can't see it all the way, I literally helped pull away guilt and shame out of the wound that all humans have for not being enough, for having addictions, for falling, wobbling a little bit here in this world, which we all do. But sometimes we can see it easier in others. And he says, I'm sorry, I did love all of them. So when he runs away, he runs from family and friends and life. And he says, I'm free and I'm alive and safe in God's hand. And God's helping him. Like, it's almost like he's doing this, like, shake it off. Because he's cool. Like, he's not going to be like dorky girly.
Yeah.
And he's cool. And he says, I'll send you some more messages in really, really abstract ways, because he can think in abstract ways. And he says, you and he both had moments, and I have many of the others listening to this podcast probably have had moments where we are haunted by something, seen and unseen, known and unknown. And he says, just keep asking for that to smooth away, because some of us are strong and we came here to navigate through those places. And he says, I've got you. And he says, you have navigated through those places. It's but we all have moments, and I get to be free from the guilt.
I love that. Thank you.
Do you want to ask him anything?
No, but I have another person that I am waiting to hear from, and I just don't know if he's coming up. It's a male.
It's a male. Is he older?
Yeah.
Is that your grandfather?
It's my dad.
I hoped that it wasn't.
Yeah. I haven't told you about that yet, but yeah. He's away in March.
He's front and center. He's been here the whole time.
Yeah.
And can he be uptight sometimes and not sometimes?
Yeah.
It's funny because he's almost got that piece of like, we're going to do things right. And then sometimes he can just roll with it. And he says, I want to come and hold you. In both of those pieces that you know me as that amazing father And then sometimes not. Amazing.
Yep.
He says, I'm so sorry I would have never left early on purpose. And I love you all.
Hmm.
Have you been seeing flowers
The
for
rose.
him?
No, I've been wondering what my sign is for him because I feel him, and like when I connect with him, I can feel him like over my left shoulder. I just feel his presence. But no, I haven't been seeing like anything specific, or at least that I've noticed, you know. But I did get a tattoo that says Rose on my wrist because that's my middle name, and he always called me Sadie Rose. So
Sadie Rose. Okay, I believe I was supposed to get to that. I just wasn't all the way up the staircase. And he was showing me hand. So it wasn't exactly where it is on you. He knows you're going to get another tattoo for him about him. But it's Rose is your connection. And it's not just that you have to see roses or have to have lots of bushes of roses everywhere you go. And I was going to say, normally I would not suspect that our dads are not going to be like, hey, I'm the flower signs.
yeah.
But him, that is absolutely 100%. And it's not just red ones either. It's white and red and different colors. He loves that. Like, to him, you will always be his Sadie Rose.
What about those roses on the ground outside of your work? Right
Yeah.
outside your car.
That was when I did my first reading with her. She told me to look out for roses, and I
Oh
found
my
that.
God.
But that was
She's
yeah,
like,
that
"I
was a
did."
while ago.
I don't remember that at all, but it's continuing. The heavens are weaving in the rose energy for you. Dad is here.
Yeah.
He wants you to know he's safe and he thanks you. Do you have a brother that he's close to?
Yeah, I have two brothers.
He's sorry to all of them, everyone, because of he's leaving out of his physical body. And he says, I am also safe. And he said, I wanted to come in last because it's most important. This is the most important connection of today.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm sorry. Did it almost make you want to change back into the little girl, like whatever other path that you were supposed to have?
Yeah, what do you mean when what happened?
When he passed,
Yeah.
did you go back and say, maybe I'm supposed to be more logical or in this different box? Because he says, in a way, this is going to bring you freedom and I will talk to you every day, all day. I'm part of the team forever that will help you create and manifest and channel and give like the inspiration.
Yeah. Yes, I think I've been going through a lot of things because me and my dad, sorry. My dad was like my hero. Like me and him, I was total daddy's girl from day one. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. Like I was with him all the time. He taught me everything that I know, and we were really close growing up. And then my parents separated, and he kind of went his own way and started getting into some things, addiction wise. And he started to push himself away from us, and he got remarried, and he moved to St. George, which is 4 hours away, and we kind of never saw him, and he kind of just kept himself at a distance. But that's some of his trauma from his childhood, is he has pushed everyone away because he has so much pain, and he started to do the same to us. So we kind of went through this process of trying to learn to accept that he's just going to be at a distance, and he's just always going to be that way. And we only would see him like every couple of months, every 6 months or so for holidays. We'd go out and see him and stuff. But then he got a divorce, basically moved back up here, close to me, and he needed a place to live. And I let him live with me for like 4 months. And then I had to kick him out because he started using pills and things again. And that's kind of when he went downhill.
That makes more sense to me because this is why also your friend came in first before dad.
Yeah.
And there's a continuum of, he's winking at me because I also run from my family and friends. I shut up, I hide. I don't mean to. It's subconscious, and it's not that we're all the same, but he's laughing because he's like, even old people that are supposed to have everything put together
Yeah.
have these breakages of life sometimes. And he's saying, I'm sorry. So he said it like 5 times, I'm sorry.
Mm.
And it is for these things and these disruptions and these things. And he says, I am understanding that sometimes that I perhaps got married, moved over here, put something in front of me that I could think about today, like that I need to be busy in. And I didn't mean to leave you all of you. You are his hero as well. To me, I believe that you are true soulmates, true soul family, truly, like beyond what most people can comprehend. And he says, he's making me laugh because he says, you should see us in the other lifetimes.
Oh God.
He's like, really? Like, what do you mean? He said, we'll trade roles. And he said, the guilt that you must have about having to not let me be a leech, an old guy leech, and watch me fall at your house on your time to love me and forgive me through addictions and those behaviors that are immature and sometimes embarrassing, which we've all been there, and we all have family things. And he says, I'm deeply sorry, and I want you to know that today, yesterday, and tomorrow it's like pull out any of those painful pieces that kept us with a little guilt, with a little shame, with a little anger. And he goes, you get to be mad at me. And he says, in a way, not that I wanted to leave my babies and the beautiful things in this world, but it was time. And he says, I will always send you roses. And that song, there's a song that you guys like, or a couple of them, and it's like you made fun of it or he made fun of it. And he says he'll send that. And he goes, I will always walk with you. And because of this, even though it is the hardest, most painful time ever, mind-blowing, heart-blowing, shocking, he says, I will always walk with you, and you will continue day by day, month by month, year by year, to feel me and to keep me alive for your child, for your life. And he says, go for it. You're the rock star of the family.
Oh.
And that's another sign. So there's a star. I don't know if it's stars in the sky, maybe, but there's a star vision that I'm seeing. And I'm like, ooh, she's going to see it. That's Dad saying, you're my rock star, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And he's so proud of who you are. And you won't be like me, he said. We help clear some of the pain, the addictions that we have in our generations. We've been working on that. And weirdly, even though he did it in a bad way sometimes, he said, I was too. And we broke some of this pain. And he said, I will never leave your side.
Wow.
Tell the kids I'm, and he says, the dogs, do you love animals?
Yeah, I just got a dog.
Watch that dog baby like chat with your dad.
Yeah.
Your dad will be,
Oh, chills.
he's so creative and interesting too. And he sometimes didn't fit in the structures. He tried, and then he's very, very cool. And he says, I want you to know that we'll walk out of those structures and watch the animals. And he says, I get to be around animals. Guess what? You get to choose what your like mansions of heaven look like. We have to undo the inverted dark mansions that we're stuck in. And we are. And he says, in a way, he realizes that he ran away from things. But in a way, he realizes he was amazing as well, which he couldn't remember in parts like the last few years of his life because he went into immature reactions or whatever it is. And we all do. So I'm not just like he's saying, oh no, we're not exploiting me. He said, I'm just saying, and he wants you to know you're the rock star and you're the royalty.
Mm,
He loves all of you.
thank you.
He's with the animals. Watch your dog, baby. He loves that kind of stuff. Is it his mom that's passed?
His dad.
Who was it? Like, is there a great grandmother for you that you knew?
So you brought this up. You brought this up. I feel like each time we've had a reading, there's a great grandma that's showing up for me. I don't have a specific grandma like
that you can think of
that I can think of that's passed other than like my great grandparents, which on my dad's side, I didn't know actually, yeah, I do know my great grandma. She's still alive, but my great grandpa just passed away on my dad's side. But on my mom's side, I do have a great grandma and grandpa that passed away like quite a while ago, but I don't know who it would be.
Thelma.
I think it might be her.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. It could be connections like great. She's really pretty and she has some kind of reds in her hair a little bit. So sometimes when we know people, old people, we don't know what their hair looked like at 35.
Right.
She got a little of that going on. She stands with him. She's one of your number one guardian angels. So it could be just, you just know her from soul wise. One of your main guides. But they walk together and they will help. It's almost like shake out the rugs of pain and shake out the suffering that we've had. And they get to be part of how you get to write the scripts, rebuild the universe around us, and rebuild reality. They are amazed at your depths of bringing joy and laughter and excitement to others. He says one of the things about my daughter is that she literally holds, even when she's being sarcastic or funny or not, bad days and good days, holds a particular light frequency. It's an angelic DNA that's being activated. I'm shocked that he's saying this because I'm like, do you want to say something else about something else? No. And that you hold this, and he was almost like the what do you call it when you are in a relay race and you pass the wand or pass the baton. He came here to pass the baton. They knew, your mom and your dad knew, and some of your siblings too, even though they get annoyed with you, knew that you were special in a special way.
Wow.
And you hold this particular frequency. You're not like anyone else, and neither was he. He's passing the baton of learning in a beautiful way and teaching. So you both of you girls came here to teach in different ways. And he says, he sends love to both of you. All of you. I'm surprised he's saying it that way. And that great grandmother that we don't know who she is.
Yeah.
Sends blessings to each of the generations in both branches and different branches. And saying good job. Like, you can say yes to falling in love again and allowing people in again. Dad didn't know how sometimes.
Yeah.
But you can say yes, and he will walk with you through these next years. You're going to hear him more and more, almost like hear him out loud.
Yeah.
Out loud.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm sorry I had to leave so early. And especially in a family that it really sticks together in some ways.
Yeah.
In the generations, and lives a long time. Because if you have a great grandmother alive, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's also saying, just like the friend of yours, they both say in a way, it was hard for them to be here in physical. And this time period is a time of where people are leaving.
Yeah.
And it's surprising who is leaving.
It
Yeah.
is.
And neither of these beautiful people that love you so much would have purposely left and said, bye, haha, I get to leave. And your dad is correcting me saying, could you quit saying that? Because I'm not gone.
Mm-hmm.
And your friend is saying, I'm alive. I need all of them to know I'm alive.
Yeah.
More than perhaps we are. Maybe we're the ones that are crunchy and can't see.
Yes.
Dad's going to keep showing you roses. There's also, I think some of the signs, if we would have said, like taking a poll on what Sadie's dad was going to bring, it would not be some of these signs, which would be flowers, roses.
Uh-huh.
But that's perfect for you. And he loves, it's almost like architecture of energy. So the structure of things, you like it when things are clean and precise.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm going to help you with the sacred geometry, which marries what I say, marries spirit and the science together. That fascinates you. And you are absolutely meant to help people come home. You know how we were saying throughout our lifetimes, perhaps we've had ghost experiences or just haunted, just something's wrong. And perhaps we had attachments. I think all human beings have attachments. So that we had to fight our own demons in different ways.
Yeah.
And Dad said you were born to do so. And that's why sometimes we can point at our struggles differently than others that we can't see, that are hidden at their house. And he says, so in these different realms and realities, you're cleansing and clearing it out. And he says, you're a badass, a superstar, rock star. And he says, I'm going to come also in a bird form. Do you love owls?
That's crazy you say that. There's actually, I don't love owls, but there's actually an owl that lives somewhere around my house, and it's been killing the chickens next door.
They're weird.
Yeah.
They are kind of predatory
Yeah.
animals. Like they're not smushy, huggy animals. The owls and Dad, it's like a particular type of frequency that's unusual that most human beings will never be able to pick up. We'll talk through this in interesting frequencies and bring you inspirations. And so when you see the owls and you're like, God, that owl's killing the chickens. He's saying we got to build a roof for the like where they can't get out at night.
They just did.
That'll help.
So
This is interesting. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you. He's saying we human beings, we didn't know this, but we have to build a roof too, because otherwise the world gets us, and our addictions get us, and our pain, our wounds, our traumas. And what you're doing in both of your guys today that are coming through, but Dad in particular, is saying our wounds almost like are open. And so sometimes someone will come by and pick it, or we will accidentally come by and pick it.
Yeah.
And for humanity, you came here to help heal the biggest separation wound. Remember, we run and separate from each other. I'm going to move further away from my family. When so-and-so was cruel and whatever, blah, blah, said this, I'm going to move further so it can't touch me.
Mm-hmm.
You're bringing separation wounds into wholeness. And you said, he's saying, Sadie, we did that together. So there's many things as we could go on like in many directions. But he said the owl is a sign. Watch the dog baby, the roses. Just even if it's a sticker on the car that is a rose, it's Dad.
Okay. So I do have one question. You're talking about him with my dog. So I had an experience the other day where something was in my kitchen and my dog was freaking out. And I was like, okay, like I tried to take him in there. He wouldn't go in there, but it was right at the area where like I visualized my dad standing in my kitchen, like right there. And
yes. He's saying this is part of the answer too.
Mhm.
So just like the chickens at night
Yeah.
need a coop that has a roof.
Right.
Well, plus they'll jump out. I know because I know about chickens and I've had to jog and run after them like a crazy person before because they will go, ha ha, got you, and then start running.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to, put them in the coop. So sometimes when we need to be covered, not running away, but covered so that we can heal,
Mm.
he's saying those darker energies can come in. So sometimes when we feel a haunted thing or we think there might be an attachment, it's not our fault. We didn't choose that. Don't let anyone punish you or me or them or anyone for having any pieces or wounds that are a little bit smudgy shadow work.
Mm-hmm.
But he's saying I was in the kitchen and that was me. And I promise that I will talk out loud to you.
Mm.
And I will come in more dreams and we will work on it together. But what he was doing was standing in front of an energy gateway or portal that sometimes had darker things try to come in and mess with you,
Mm.
which we all have.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just happened to come in the kitchen. And so then he threw a few things around, but Dad kicked it back, shut that portal down a little bit where the darker thing, and then so it's pure light again.
Mm.
It's almost like if the doorway, if we'd had a storm outside, there was stuff in front of it. And that's what he's saying. It was like that. So, of course, I was in the kitchen, is what he said. He's funny. He's smart, too.
He's a smart ass.
That's so cute. I love it.
Oh my gosh, that's so
And
beautiful.
he knows that you're getting another tattoo for him, about him. And it's just one of your things. That's your art. It's wonderful, beautiful. He loves it's things that have he's connecting with you in things that have almost like geometrical structures or something that's pleasing to your aesthetics of your vision
Mm.
that will help you receive and hold hands with Dad forever.
Okay.
He's again saying, I'm so sorry I left so early and surprisingly.
Yeah. Thank you, Melissa. And thank you, Dad.
Right.
And Tanner and everyone who's coming through.
Right.
They love you so much. And they know that they are loved. When we forget, when we don't understand that others love us, he says, I'll let you know.
Mm.
And he won't stop talking to you. Won't be enough, but we won't.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That makes me feel good. I hear him sometimes just pop into my mind, and I hear, I love you, Sadie Rose, all the time. I hear that. And I'm just like, thanks, Dad. Love you too. I feel that all the time. So it's beautiful. It's connected with the rose, makes me feel more like I know what I'm hearing, it kind of confirms it for you. So
It's harder when it's our parent that we love so much. It's harder when it's our very close connections because we tend to ask ourselves like, well, did I make that up? Am I just wishing? No, that's very clear.
Wow.
And you have some other fun ones like that you'll validate and you'll go, okay, work with your Dad. And he will. He's going to move some things because he also loves your child.
Yeah.
And will be a guide for the baby, which is not a baby, by the way, but a baby. He's going to move some things at your house. So he'll be present in your house because he can. I think he is fascinated in a great, glorious way that he can sort of move some stuff. Remember the movie where that he was practicing and trying to move and finally he got it. So Dad's like working on it with all kinds of stuff.
That's funny because he knocked on my door one time. I straight up got a knock on my door. And I was like, I asked to connect with him. He knocked on the door. And then I was like, Dad, don't scare me. I got a little like, oh my gosh, I didn't think it was going to be that physical, but there's definitely things like that happen with him that I'm just like, he would be fucking with me on the other side,
Oh, yeah. Because he's funny. It's
he wants to.
Sideways funny, too. Like he's sarcastic, sideways funny. And he's going to continue that. So sometimes if everyone gets a chill, it's Dad. And he's like doing it on purpose.
Yeah. Okay. I love that.
Wow.
I love it. And they're saying just let them know. Forgive me, he says, and forgive ourselves. Like, you girls need to learn how to forgive yourselves for the moments, the bad days, the stupid parts.
Right.
And know that I will never leave you.
Mm,
And that's God's promise to us.
yeah. Oh, I
Right.
love that. Is there anything else you want to ask?
I wanted to ask, there was one other person I was hoping would show up.
The female,
No.
is it a younger male again?
Yeah.
You've got quite a group. That's hard. So when people sometimes say, like, aren't you going to just talk to one person like it is on TV? I'm like, I think they have to edit it. But to me, sometimes groups come in and it takes me a minute to get to the main ones,
Yeah.
and they come in backwards sometimes just on purpose.
Yeah.
Younger male, may I ask his first name?
Cameron.
He's sending you the peace sign. How did he pass?
He overdosed.
Both of them, I wasn't quite sure, but it was tragic like this, like the young men.
The other one that I went to school with, he committed suicide.
Mm.
Cameron did?
No, so Cameron overdosed. But I wasn't aware that that's how he died.
Until recently. Huh?
Yeah, until just recently. But he passed in 2013.
You feel him quite a bit still, not all day, every day, but he pops in and you just are like,
Yep.
can feel him, right? And the other one, I don't know what you said his name was, the one that committed suicide. Do you feel him on occasion, but it feels different? It's almost like he slides up and hi, and then Cameron's more like, I'm here.
Yeah, Cameron's here all the time. Yeah.
He's
Because
loud.
he says he's one of your main guardian angels, perk guides.
Yeah.
And he says, I've got you. He's like kind of cool.
Yeah. See, I didn't really know him. I found out about him later in life.
And it's her brother.
Yeah, it's my brother.
How old was he when he died?
He was born in 1980, so he was 33.
And how old were you when he passed?
I would have been 20.
He says we've been connected always, even if we are not in the same household and we were not together. And
Right.
you actually have, like, you have similarities.
Yeah, I figured that.
No one told you, but you have similarities. He's the one showing me this golden energy, like it's gold.
Right.
I don't always perceive energy as colors, but it's this beautiful gold. And he says, I sprinkle her with prosperity and love. He says, yeah, we had it. It wasn't easy at my house.
Right.
And it wasn't easy at yours sometimes. It could be this week, wasn't easy. And he
Right.
says, I will always walk with you. And in a way, we're soulmates, even though we didn't get to really know each other. We knew about each other, but we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm sorry for the tragic story, but he had a hard time. He's very cool. Hey, and he's like a peace sign for you, like he was to bring you peace.
Yeah.
And he said, I give her different signs. It's harder in our minds sometimes to receive big messages from the people we didn't get to spend hundreds of thousands of hours with.
Right.
But he says, we're very close, clear, and both of you girls can feel me very easily. And so just know I've always got your messages and I've got your back. And he says, I'm sorry it was hard. And I'm also proud of you. And I'm proud of you stepping up out of stuff that we look back over our shoulder and go, oh, that was very hard.
Right.
Part of my life those 2 years ago or 5 years ago or yesterday. And he says, he just know you have the strength and stability of steel, of kings, of gods and goddesses. So just know.
Yeah.
And he says, so do I. And it's like you're a family match. So you're plugged in together. And Sadie, your dad is saying, so remember, when we experience each other from spirit or our friends that are living, like, I feel, I feel so-and-so, and I just thinking about them. We are one, and we're coming back into harmony. And it's weird because your brother didn't always have harmony.
Right.
He said I lived large.
Oh, geez.
Like, he almost did anything he wanted to, but off the edge of the cliff almost.
Okay. So constantly adrenaline and all that.
Mhm.
That's what I pictured.
And he sends great love to the others, the different branches of family. And he says, thank you so much for asking. I am around you quite often, even though we didn't get to spend lots of time together. You are my family.
Yeah.
True family.
Yeah.
Green, he's going to send you something green, energy that's green. And he also helps, so does Sadie's dad, help with the heart chakra opening, which we think we've done so much work and we're doing great. And then it's not quite there yet. And so some of these, it's funny that these men and young men, like, what would they have known, are helping with the subjects that are
Love.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And he says he often sends you signs too. So Alayna, ask for signs.
Yeah.
And he'll send you the weird ones, off the wall ones, because you like bizarre things.
Okay.
It's almost like eclectic, eccentric, unique. And it's not bizarre in a negative way, but you can make it sort of weird.
Yeah.
And you both are so, again, amped up, so high frequency. Like, keep going. And he says, I love you, sister, even though we didn't understand that. And he says, you will build the home foundation that's different than what we've known and what the world knows. So all the pieces in our families that really weren't easy,
Right.
we'll surpass them. And he says, you're loved. Thanks, man.
I love it. That's cute.
I love that. It makes me wonder if the peace sign is number 2.
Could be. Yeah, this tattoo 22 is for him.
It was backwards. I got the wrong person for the 2s. So sorry.
You did say 2's for her.
Yeah, you
did.
said 2's for me.
I did. Okay. Because I was just like 2s. I was just like, woof.
Yeah, no, that was spot on for her.
And well, 22 comes down to 4 also. It's all connected.
Oh, yeah, so true, huh?
It's on your magical journey. You're on the right track.
Yeah.
He says, yeah, part of it is the 2. So yeah, good. Yes, good catch. Thank you.
Yeah.
And he loves music. And when you came here to be a rock star, but they told us not to be, we're not going to listen anymore.
Right.
And is what he's saying. Like, that's kind of a cool message. I don't quite know what it means, but it's
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Damn, we have a pretty powerful team up there helping us out.
Oh, yeah, we do.
We're gonna succeed.
We already are.
yeah, that's the answer. You already are.
Yeah.
It's beyond what any layers of history or understanding that we've had before.
Yeah.
And you girls get to bring it in. You're leaders. You get to open the doors and help people come through the doors for themselves.
Yeah.
And I mean, loved ones and angels for years just saying thank you. And what seems like it was harder, or they made a mistake, or perhaps was to help us get to the doors that need to be opened, and that new freedom that we want, that we didn't understand, and that more pure love that we didn't understand all the way.
Right.
And so they're, again, coming from the guys. I wouldn't have expected these really poignant messages quite this way.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa, so much. That was so needed for both of us.
I feel like we're going to have a lot of listeners that are going to want to schedule with you and book with you and meet you.
Yeah.
How do they get in touch?
Yeah, how do they get in touch with you? And is there anything that you want to plug? We were going to do that before the reading, but here we are.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Yes, I've have the 2 web pages, and I do talk to people on Zoom telephone calls,
Mm-hmm.
person and on telephones for many years. Like I've known, done readings with people for years over the phone that I've never seen in person.
Yeah.
So melissabrace.com
Okay.
and Sedona UFO and Vortex Tours.com. I'll send it over. We can put it.
Yes, we'll put it in the description for the podcast.
Thank
Link
you
there.
so much. Yeah, you can make an appointment or send me an email, and we'll get you a good time. And I thank you all. I'm really honored to be able to have spent time with you today, and I want to do it again sometime.
I know.
We'll do
We're
it
going to
again.
do it, and we're going to come to Sedona and hang out with you, and it will be so good.
Oh, we should do a special UFO episode out there.
Oh, that would be cool.
Perhaps you should come for a few days. There's room at my house.
Okay.
And we can do a couple of podcasts and bring all the cool stuff from here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That would be amazing. We're really gonna
We're
take
going to
you
do
up
it.
on that.
Yep. We're going to do it.
Like this year.
Invited. You're invited. Thank you so much for having me today. I truly am so glad. And Sadie, our connection.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I love you. Thank you.
So beautiful. It's been a pleasure, Melissa. Thanks again.
Yeah. And you guys tune in next week, and we will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Take me higher.